Welcome. There's no turning back now. This will be a video walkthrough of what their CM showed us, me and a few yesterday, of how to set up a SQL database in Azure. So you can access it from multiple computers because you might be using more than one. And I will also show how to open it in Visual Studio. So you can use the benefits of having an IDE, syntax highlighting, code completion, and so on. Now this walkthrough will depend that you have probably watched a bit of Kakashi Dota's great video here, where he goes in depth of how to be economic and explains the choices you should for creating an SQL database. So I won't be covering everything like he did. I'm just here for setting up an Azure for Students subscription, which if you go to Google, you can search for it, Azure for Students, and go into the first link and click in the Start Free button. And here you will enter in your school email, your first name dot last name special A and e2hs.se, and then you will just right after this, when you go to the next step, your name and your address, simple stuff. You don't need to provide a credit card or that. Once that's done and you've been approved, you will be directed to this page here, where it might not look like this for you, but you can go into this cogwheel here, settings, and change the theme if you like to dark mode or how you want this set up. So now the first thing we need to do, as Kakashi went through, we need to create a resource group. You've probably already done this, but I'll just go slightly through it. Create a resource group, and we can click the create button here. And once this loads, we will use our subscription Azure for Students. You give it a name. You can choose your Sweden Central if you're living in Sweden like me. And review and create, and then there's another step, and then create, and you'll have that. We can go back to home here, or click here, home. You will need to create an SQL database with a server, and to the left here, you'll see SQL databases. We can click on that. We can click on this create button here. So it's a very similar user interface for most things here. And we see our subscription is already selected and the resource group I created. And then here comes the database details. Here you will choose a name. I will call mine students DB. Just for the sake of showing, I call it like this. You might not have a server yet, so you will go into the create new section here. And you will click, when you click create new, you will have to choose a unique server name because you can see that the end path after the dot here is a very accessible link. And here we will choose also Sweden Central. And here for the authentication method, we will use SQL authentication. So we are able to log in. And here you can create a server admin username, I guess. I don't think admin works. I think you need to have something unique. Yeah, so, come up with something and then a password. And once that, you can go to OK and it will be done. It will take you back to the previous step, and your database server will be selected by default. Some of these settings are already set to no for Elastic Pool and development. For your first database, this will look a bit different. As you can see, if we go down here, there's a little cost, but your first database won't have a cost. So some of these selections will not be here. And you have gone through how to get the cost down in Kakashi Dota's video here. Once that's done, you can review, create, and another create, click, and you'll be done. And if I go back to home, it will take some time to deploy, I guess. You'll see the updates show up. Once that's done, you will see your SQL database here, SQL server, and resource group. As Kakashi shows in his video, in the SQL server, we will need to be able to connect to the to Azure through our computer, we would need to go to the section Security, Networking, and add our client IP address as shown in his video. Once that's done, we can go back to our home, and here the SQL database. We'll go in there. And now we come to the fun part. As you can see, we have the query editor here. And here we will use that admin login and its password to log in. And once we're in, you can see this is how the interface looks. There's nothing in the table now. I could create one later here, create, here, run all the here and click the run. But we're not going to be doing that. We're going to go back to the overview, and down here we can see we can open it in our favorite tools. If you're using Visual Studio Code, there's a link for that. But we will use the Open in Visual Studio link. And by the way, for your whitelisting your IP client, you can use you can Google what is my IP, and I think the first one here is pretty good. It showed mine accurately. Without me doxing myself, I will not go in there. Then we come back here, open in Visual Studio, because this might not work if you click it up in Visual Studio and you haven't fixed that, and you might not even have been able to log into the database through SQL authentication. And we're also going to log into the database like we just saw, using that admin username and password in Visual Studio. So now I click this, you will see a pop-up for the first time. You can open that link in Visual Studio, but I already done that. And you see the Visual Studio app opens automatically. It might look a bit different for you. This SQL Server Object Explorer might be on the left side. But if we look at it here, we can see that this is the cloud24.database.windows.net. So it's the one on Azure. And there's the database that was created when I chose the student DB name. The first thing we could do, we can right click it. And now that I'm thinking about it, I'm not sure I had to log in automatically when I open Visual Studio. You might have to. It might come up a pop-up here and you have to fill in that username and password for SQL authentication. The default choices will work. But just in case it didn't, for me now, or it did, we'll just need to put in those values. And then we'll come here, we'll right click on student DB. We can choose this new query. And here we can write the SQL, and we will have syntax highlighting, code completion. Let's see, create table students, and then let's just say student ID first. All right, no, that's not even how we do it. And we can think it's student ID int identity 1 1, and first name varchar, let's say 50 letters. I'm just gonna keep it simple, I think. Yeah, and then last name varchar 50. What do we have else? Do we have an age? Right. Okay, let's say int. And then we can press this run button here, executes, and say command completed successfully. Now you don't need to keep writing here. You can just open another query console, and in here can go select from students, and we see there students. Oh wow, and I did it in all caps. Ugly, but I will. And you see, there we have a database. We haven't inserted anything into it, so we could do that. Let's insert into students. I don't think I need IDs, so it's first name. Let me see how to complete values. And then let's see, Captain Crunch. 24 ages. Yep. Says it works. Let's go back and use this one instead. And there we have it. That's how simple it is. I hope that was helpful, and thank you, Dersim and Robin, also known as Kakashi. Good luck.